Start happening. Oh, thank you, sir.
So, in previous class, I have discussed about different types of immunity. What is immunity? And a different type of immunity. In immunity, mainly, so active immunity and passive immunity. In previous class, I have discussed in detail what is an active immunity and what is passive immunity and types of passive immunity. That means in passive immunity, again two types: natural passive immunity and artificial passive immunity, and with examples I have discussed. And also difference between innate immunity and acquired immunity, and colostrum. What is colostrum? What is the composition of a colostrum? All these things are discussed in previous class. In this class, I am discussing about difference between antigen. Antigen means immunogen. Immunogen. Antigen means immunogen and antibody. Antibody is immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin. Difference between antigen and antibody. First one, antigen or immunogen. It is called immunogen. So antigen stimulates the production of antibodies. Antigen stimulates the production of antibodies. So, when the antigens or foreign substances entered in our body, these foreign substances are called antigens. Foreign substances are called antigens. These antigens immediately stimulates or induce the production of antibodies. Means antibodies starts to produce in our body to resist the infection. The first point. So, antigen stimulate the production of antibodies. It means after entry of antigen or pathogen in our body, the antibodies production is initiated or started. Second one. So, antigen is maybe protein molecule. Antigen may be protein or polysaccharide or lipid. Antigen may be protein, molecule or polysaccharide in nature or lipid. Next, it is variable in structure. Antigen, the structure of antigen molecule is variable in structure. So, antigen or immunogen, all the antigen of these pathogens or foreign substances are different in structure. All the antigens are not same structure. Clear? The antigen molecules are different in structure. One antigen and other antigens. These different antigens have different structures or variable in structure. So then, last one, antigen is a foreign substance. Antigen is a foreign substance Antigen is a foreign substance. It brings out reaction. It brings out reaction in the body. It brings out reaction. So antigen is a foreign substance or a microbe. This is called agent. It brings about reaction in the body. As soon as the antigen molecules are entered into our body, immediately the production of antibodies takes place. Then after the production of antibody, there is a reaction takes place. This reaction is called antigen and antibody reaction. Got the point? So antigen, once entered into our body, it stimulates the production of antibodies. After the production of antibodies, there is a reaction between antigen and antibody. These are the characters of the antigen molecule. Next, antibody or immunoglobulin. Antibody. So, the production of antibody is stimulated by antibodies are produced. Antibodies are produced by stimulation of antibodies are produced by the stimulation of antigen. Stimulation of antigens. See? The production of antibody is initiated by the stimulation of antigens. Means already I will explain. Once the antigens are entered into our body, these antigens stimulates the production of antibodies. Okay. So second one. So generally the antibody molecule the antibody molecule is a protein in nature, or chemically it is a protein. Chemically, so antibody is a protein molecule. Then third one, generally the antibody is all antibodies. So in our body, millions of antibodies, millions of different antibodies are produced. All these antibodies are similar shape. That is, all the antibodies are Y-shaped structure. All the antibodies are Y-shaped structure. All the antibodies. Already in previous class I discussed, in our body millions of different antibodies are produced. All the antibodies are so similar in shape, they are Y-shaped structure. Then antibodies are protective chemicals. Antibodies are protective chemical. Antibodies are protective chemicals produced. Antibodies or immunoglobulin are the protective chemicals produced. These are the difference between antigen and antibody. Okay. Next difference is difference between active immunity and passive immunity. Difference between active and passive immunity. Difference between active immunity and passive immunity. Active immunity and passive immunity. Difference between active and passive immunity. We know already. We know that already. Active immunity is the immunity. Active immunity is the immunity developed due to. Active immunity is developed due to exposure to infection. Exposure to infection. Active immunity is the immunity. It is developed. Active immunity is the immunity. It is developed. Exposure to our body is exposed to the infection or entry of pathogen or microorganism. So our body is infected or attacked by microorganisms or pathogens. That time in our body the immunity is produced. It's called active immunity. This immunity resists our body to a specific disease. It's called active immunity. So second one. So active immunity is slow. It is slow. Active immunity is slow. It takes time. It takes time. It takes time. It takes time to give its response. To give its response. So, second point is active immunity is slow. That is production of antibodies. So production of antibodies is slow, and active immunity takes time to give its response because the production of antibodies is delayed or slow. That's why the active immunity takes time to give its response. So next one is it provides. Active immunity provides lifelong. It provides lifelong immunity. Lifelong immunity. It provides lifelong immunity. So then, next, it produces the memory cells. It produces the memory cells. Active immunity. In this, the memory cells like T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, and B lymphocytes. T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes are produced. These cells, memory cells are produced like B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. These cells are produced. So for long time immunity, they produce this long time immunity. Next, the antibodies produced are harmless. The antibodies produced are harmless. In active immunity, when antigen enters, immediately antibodies are produced to resist against the infection. These antibodies produced are harmless. These antibodies are produced are harmless. Next, passive immunity. Next one, so passive immunity. So passive immunity is an immunity. It is developed in a person. Passive immunity is the immunity. It is first developed in a person. It is developed in a person. When the antibodies are injected. When the antibodies are injected. Antibodies are injected. These antibodies are produced produced in the another organisms. Another organisms. This is called a passive immunity. So, in passive immunity, the immunity is developed in a person by the administration or injection of antibodies. These antibodies are produced or developed in another organisms. So these antibodies develop resistance against the disease. It's called passive immunity. That means passive immunity, actually in the passive immunity, the antibodies are not produced in a person. Clear? The antibodies are not produced, but antibodies are administered. These antibodies are administered and produced in another organism. It's called passive immunity. Then, the antibodies are many in number. The antibodies are many in number. Antibodies are many in number because they are artificially produced in the organisms. That's why the antibodies are many in number because they are artificially produced in the other organisms. They provide short time immunity. They provide short time immunity. They provide short time immunity. The memory cells are not produced. Memory cells are not produced. Memory cells are not produced. In the passive immunity, the memory cells like T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes are not produced. The memory cells are not produced. Then, when the antibodies are injected, sometimes they are harmful. Sometimes they are harmful because the antibodies are manufactured in the other organisms, then injected to another individual or person. In that person, these antibodies sometimes they become harmful. This is the difference between the active immunity and passive immunity. Clear? This is active immunity and passive immunity. Clear? I have discussed differences between innate and acquired immunity. One, difference between antigen and antibody. Second, third one, difference between active immunity and passive immunity. Clear? And also I will discuss between difference between B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Clear? Next concept is vaccination. Next concept is vaccination. Next is vaccination. What is vaccination? Vaccination is the process vaccination is a process of administration Vaccination is the process of administration of inactivated so pathogen inactivated pathogen or antigenic protein into a protein to healthy person against a specific disease. Specific disease is called vaccination. Vaccination is the process of administration. Administration means injection or introduction. Injection or introduction of inactivated pathogen. Inactivated pathogen or antigenic protein of pathogen. Antigenic protein of pathogen into healthy person. Into healthy person to resist against a specific disease. To resist against a specific disease in a person. It's called vaccination. So in the vaccination means administration or introduction of antigenic protein of a particular pathogen or inactivated pathogen is administered in the healthy person to resist against a specific disease is called vaccination. When the vaccines are introduced into a person, these vaccines induce the production of massive antibodies. The production of massive antibodies. Once the vaccines are introduced into a healthy individual, these vaccines induce the massive production of the antibodies against a particular disease or specific disease. Against the specific disease. A specific disease. So, example vaccines: tetanus, topsoil. Next, diphtheria, topsoil. Measles, hepatitis, and so on. So vaccination. So then next, very first, the concept of vaccination or vaccine. Very first, the concept of vaccine was conceived by, very first, the concept of vaccine was conceived, the idea of vaccine is very first conceived by Dr. Edward Jenner. Dr. Edward Jenner. Dr. Edward Jenner. And of England. And he invented or discovered a vaccine against a smallpox very first. That's why. So Edward Jenner is also considered as father of vaccine or immunology. Father of immunology because of very first the concept of vaccine was conceived by Dr. Edward Jenner of England, and he successfully invented the vaccine against the smallpox. That's why he was considered as the father of immunology. And after Edward Jenner, Louis Pasteur, another microbiologist, Louis Pasteur, called as father of microbiology, considered as a father of microbiology, invented vaccines against anthrax, rabies, and cholera. Louis Pasteur, popularly known as father of microbiology. He was also invented number of vaccine against the diseases of anthrax, rabies, and cholera. This is about vaccination. It's about vaccination. Clear? Next one is immunization. Immunization. Next one is immunization. Immunization. Next one is immunization. Next one is the immunization. So what is immunization? What is immunization? Is immunization. Immunization is also a process. Immunization is also a process during which administration or injection of vaccines. Administration of vaccines. Administration of the vaccines to the person. Administration of the vaccines to the person, and it results in the production of antibodies. It results in the production of antibodies. Production of antibodies. Resist against the disease. Resist against the disease. It means immunization is nothing but production of antibodies. It's a process. Immunization is the process in which antibodies are produced. When the antibodies are produced after the administration of the vaccines in a person, antibodies are produced in the person after the introduction or administration of the vaccines against a particular or specific disease is called immunization. Clear? Next, this is what immunization. Okay, this is vaccination and immunization. Next concept is allergies. Next concept is allergies. Next concept is allergies. Allergies. What are allergies or allergic reaction? What is allergy? Clear? I have discussed about differences between active and passive immunity, antigen and antibody, then vaccination and immunization, then allergies. Next concept is allergies. So allergies are defined as exaggerated allergies, exaggerated response, produced by exaggerated response of immune system. Exaggerated response of immune system to certain antigens present in the environment. Is called allergies. Exaggerated response. Allergies is defined as exaggerated hypersensitivity hypersensitivity or exaggerated response of immune system to certain antigens present in the environment. Certain antigens present in the environment is called allergies. The term allergies was coined by Clemens Pirpit. The term allergies was first coined by Clemens Pirpit. So, in Greek, allos means different. Ergos means action. In Greek language, allos means different, ergos means action. Clear? The term allergies, we know what is allergy? Hyperactivity or hypersensitivity or exaggerated response of our immune system against certain antigens present in the environment is called allergy. The term allergy was very first coined by Clemens Pirpit. In Greek, allos means different and ergos means action. Here. Next, allergens and autoallergens. Allergens are the substances. Allergens are the substances. Allergens are the substances. So, cause allergens are the substances which cause excessive immune response. So these are called antigens. Allergens. These are called allergens. See, allergens are nothing but substances. Allergens are nothing but substances. These substances cause excessive immune response. What? Allergens. Example: pollen grinds. Mites in dust. Fabrics. Fur. Pollen grinds, mites in dust, fabrics, fur, also, and spores, etc. Or the allergens. These are called allergens present in the environment. So when these substances enter into our body, these substances can cause excessive immune response. Are called allergies and then allergens. Don't confuse. Allergens means substances present in the environment. When they are entered into our body, they cause excessive response of the immune system or immunity is called allergens. Examples: pollen grinds, mites in dust, fabrics, fur, and spores. This is about the allergies and allergens. Next concept is allergic reaction. Allergic reaction. Reaction. what is allergy and what are allergens. Our next concept is allergic reaction. Next concept is allergic reaction. So the allergic reaction takes place in following steps. Allergic reactions takes place in the following steps. Allergic reactions take place in the following steps. First step, when the antigens enter into the entered into the body, these antigens stimulates B lymphocytes. It's the first step in the allergic reaction. This is the first step in the allergic reaction. So what's the first step? When the antigens are entered into our body from the environment, these antigens once enter, very first stimulates the B lymphocytes. Second step is B lymphocytes immediately, then B lymphocytes immediately produces a specific immunoglobulin. B lymphocytes produces the specific immunoglobulin. Called IgE, immunoglobulin E, very important. Very important. So the second step in allergic reaction is B lymphocytes immediately. So stimulates. So these antigens immediately stimulate the B lymphocytes, and B lymphocytes induces the specific immunoglobulin. These B lymphocytes produces specific immunoglobulin is called IgE, immunoglobulin E. IgE means it's an antibody. Already I discussed. There are 5 major antibodies are the IgA, IgM, IgE, IgD, like that, IgG. So among these, IgE is also one of the important antibody. This IgE antibody is produced during allergic reactions. So there are 5 major antibodies are there. I discussed in previous classes. Among these 5, IgE means immunoglobulin E. Antibody is produced during allergic reactions. Then this immunoglobulin E, IgE means immunoglobulin E, is produced. Next, the third step. This IgE, immunoglobulin E, stimulates. This IgE stimulates mast cells produced. So stimulates mast cells, and the mast cells produces certain chemicals. The mast cells produces certain chemicals like serotonin and histamine. The mast cells produces chemicals like serotonin and histamine. So next step, these chemicals serotonin and histamine acts and dilates the peripheral arteries. Peripheral arteries. Peripheral arteries. Arteries. So then these chemicals, serotonin and histamine, dilates the peripheral arteries. Peripheral arteries. Peripheral arteries. As a result of this, the peripheral arteries becomes more permeable. Becomes peripheral arteries becomes more permeable. So because of this, next step, as a result of this, the peripheral arteries becomes more permeable. Because of this, the excess fluid flows out from blood into tissues. Once the peripheral arteries becomes more permeable, as a result of this, lot of or excess fluid comes out from blood into the tissues. It results in sudden form. In blood vessels. Sudden falling of blood vessels. Finally, the individual becomes unconscious, and finally, death of individual. These are the important steps involving allergic reaction. These are the important steps involving allergic reactions. Listen here. Allergic reactions occurs in the following steps. First step is when the antigens are entered into the body. Then the B lymphocytes are stimulated. B lymphocytes are produced. When the antigens are entered into our body, B lymphocytes are produced. Then these B lymphocytes are produced and get stimulated and produce specific immunoglobulin. First, B lymphocytes are produced. B lymphocytes next to produce a specific immunoglobulin IgE. IgE means immunoglobulin I. It is very simple. Antigens are entered. These antigens stimulate B lymphocytes. B lymphocytes produces IgE, immunoglobulin. Then IgE stimulates mast cells. Then mast cells produces serotonin and histamine chemicals. These serotonin and histamine chemicals dilates the peripheral arteries. Serotonin and histamine. So these chemicals dilates the peripheral arteries. As a result of this, the peripheral arteries becomes more permeable. Because of this, the excessive fluid or lot of fluid comes out from blood into tissues. Because of this, the sudden fall in the blood pressure, finally the individual becomes unconscious and death of individual. This is the different steps of allergic reactions. Next, symptoms of allergic reactions. Symptoms of allergic reactions. Symptoms of allergic reactions. Symptoms of allergy. Symptoms. The symptoms of allergy mostly occurs in mucous membrane. The symptoms of the allergies occurs in mucous membrane, then respiratory tract and digestive tract. The symptoms generally appear in mucous membrane, respiratory tract and digestive tract. The symptoms includes sneezing. The symptoms include sneezing, watery eyes, sneezing, watery eyes, running nose, swelling, itching, rashes, and breathing difficulty. These are the important symptoms of allergy: sneezing, watery eyes, running nose, swelling, itching, rashes, and breathing difficulty. Next one is the allergic reactions are reduced. The allergy is reduced rapidly. The allergic reactions or the allergies are reduced rapidly by the administration of drugs like antihistamine, drugs like antihistamine, steroids, and ordinal. So allergy is immediately or suddenly reduced or rapidly reduced by administration of the drugs like antihistamine, steroids, and ordinal. This is the symptoms of allergy. Generally, the symptoms of allergies are reported in mucous membrane, respiratory system, and digestive system. Symptoms: sneezing, watery eyes, running nose, swelling, itching, rashes, and breathing difficulty. These are the treatment against the allergy: antihistamine, then ordinary and steroids. These drugs immediately reduce the allergy. And last one, small onset autoimmunity. This one is autoimmunity. What is autoimmunity? What is autoimmunity? What is the autoimmunity? See, autoimmunity is the condition. Autoimmunity is the condition. Autoimmunity is the condition in which the antibodies are produced against, antibodies are produced against own, they produce their own body cells in the individual is called autoimmunity. See, autoimmunity means in the individual or in a person, the antibodies are produced. The antibodies are produced against their own body cells. Their own body cells. Here, the antibodies are produced against their own body cells. This is called autoimmunity. So, these antibodies destroy our healthy cells, destroys our own body cells, destroys our own body cells. The antibodies are produced, and these antibodies destroys our own body cells. So destroys our own body cells. Example: rheumatoid arthritis, and juvenile diabetes, and chronic anemia, and so these are the examples for autoimmune diseases. So, in any person or any individual, so the antibodies are produced against our own body cells, produced against our own body cells. So, these antibodies can destroy our own body healthy cells called autoimmunity. Examples are rheumatoid arthritis, juvenile diabetes, and chronic anemia. This is called autoimmunity. Define autoimmunity. What is autoimmunity? It's a condition in which the antibodies are produced so against their own body cells. Then these antibodies are destroyed our own healthy body cells, and this is called autoimmunity or autoimmune disease. Examples are rheumatoid arthritis, juvenile diabetes, and chronic anemia.